All right. Hello, Instagram. Looks like you're the first to connect. I'm also going to be live streaming this on Facebook and my YouTube channel. So I'm going to give everybody maybe 20, 30 more seconds if anyone wants to hop in. Say hi, let me know where you're from. And then I'm going to be talking briefly about how often should people train? Because this seems to be a question that not only was posited to me overnight, but something that I tend to get somewhat frequently. So anyways, I guess I'll just get started. Um, like so many questions in health and fitness, right? There aren't easy answers to a lot of these questions. While I do think that based on certain principles, there are best ways to exercise, there are best movements for specific joints or muscles that you're trying to work. With things like how often should you exercise, you need a little bit more nuance. First, you need to say, well, what am I exercising for, right? If you're practicing like karate, boxing, punches and kicks, if you're trying to establish a certain pattern of like running or throwing something in a certain way, you can train in those manners every single day or very, very close to every single day. The more skilled and the more technical and the more precise a movement is, you're not so much trying to build a certain degree of strength in that particular movement. What you're really trying to do in that is just really condition neuromuscular efficiency. And one of the metaphors that I always use is I don't know how much this applies to younger kids now, but when you first learn how to drive, especially if you learn how to drive stick, go to an empty parking lot, you really have to condition that muscle memory of trying to work the clutch and the gas and just get that friction zone just about right. And after doing this for an hour or so, a lot of times, at least if you're anything like me, like the next day, your calf on that clutch leg might be a little bit sore. And the more you do it, the better you get at it, to the point where eventually you're, on an incline or trying to parallel park or in a really tight space, and it's effortless. It's memoryless. It just happens. Or same thing if you're trying to throw a football or a baseball. The kinetic chain to throw a ball a certain distance starts through the ground, right? You build the initial force through your feet, you rotate through the hips, and then eventually you articulate through the shoulder and get that perfect, beautiful pitch or throw. When you're first doing this, though, it's very inefficient. And the more you do it, the better you get and the more efficient you get at that particular pathway. Well, resistance training for overall health and well-being is very, very different. Resistance training isn't done to necessarily get as efficient in a pathway as possible. Properly done resistance training should be performed in a way that you're trying to enhance your overall health and fitness and well-being by using the weights. And too often, people in the gym have the wrong mindset when it comes to what their goal actually is. Too many people think that their goal when they're in the gym is to see how many times they can lift a weight or to try and improve upon their previous workout numbers. Your goal when you go to the gym is not to do better than you did last time. Your goal when you go to the gym is to safely, effectively, and efficiently load the targeted muscles in a way that produces a positive response. So if you're doing things properly, if you're training with sufficient intensity, if you're not training too frequently, and if you're giving your body what it needs in terms of nutrition and in terms of rest, you'll experience those positive benefits. But if you just blindly go into the gym and think, okay, last time I did, 225 on the bench for 8 times, this time I'm going to try and get 9 or 10 times. If that's your primary goal, what can often happen in that scenario is you start wiggling, you start shaking, you might start bouncing the bar off your chest. You start doing things that you shouldn't necessarily do to try and meet that arbitrary goal. Instead, if your focus is trying to just get the best amount of intensity possible while staying concordant with muscle and joint function and safety, if you're doing those things correctly, physical improvements are the measure, not the goal. You will get stronger over time. You will be capable of handling bigger weights for longer time under tension, but that should not be your goal when you absolutely set foot in the gym. Somebody's recovery with respect to training needs to be highly individualized, and a lot of this is going to come down to somebody's progress charts. Here at my personal training studio, I start everybody on a full body workout once a week, and that's a general guiding principle. And then from there, we differentiate or individualize based on someone's own personal preferences or based on their specific needs with respect to particular movements or slowdowns in progress. An example that I always go back to is a few years back, I had an individual that wanted to lose 50 or so pounds to get in shape for a comic book convention. We started him on 3 full body workouts, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And as he got stronger, I needed to gradually cut down on not just the volume of every single workout, but also the frequency of the workout so he would continue to make progress. Your muscles get bigger and stronger, and as those weights get progressively heavier, and as the time under tension tends to increase as you get stronger, your muscles get stronger, yes, but it's orders of magnitude how much bigger a stress on the body it is. And because it's a bigger stress on the body, it takes more time to rest and recover from. So again, we started off 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, full body workouts. It was 8 to 12 total sets of workout. Over time, I had to cut that down to 2 full body workouts a week. As time progressed and his strength numbers started to slow down, to get him to continue to make progress, I had to cut that down to 1 full body workout once a week. And at the end of our time together, he was working out once only every 10 to 14 days, and his full body workout was down to just 6 total sets. And he lost 50 pounds in 6 months, and he doubled to tripled his strength on every single lift. In my experience with the people that I have here at the studio, we were doing 1 full body workout once a week. And then if their progress slows down and if they go a certain number of weeks without making any progress at all, then I start looking at possibly breaking it up to like an upper body workout 1 week and then a lower body workout the next week. With respect to overall health and fitness, in a lot of ways, it's hard to overdo rest. You don't grow during the actual workout, you grow during the recovery. So you can take a number of weeks off. And I've had people that have come back from 2 or 3 weeks off, and they come back and they're stronger than their previous workout. This not only shows that overcompensation occurred and they were able to get size and strength increases in these particular muscles, better cardiovascular benefit, but possibly more importantly, it shows that decomposition didn't occur. There's this thought in health and fitness that you need to be super active. You need to do something every single day. More is better. And that's a socioeconomic principle that is blindly applied from one endeavor into another, and things don't always translate that way. More is better largely applies to money and pretty girls, but with respect to exercise, what you should be doing is the precise amount necessary to get the best degree of results, and then get as much rest and recovery as you need before you go back and try and stimulate the body again. In a lot of ways, it's better to get a little bit more rest than you need than not enough. The people that I have that come and do these full body workouts, the workouts tend to be about 15 minutes. And I've never had one person go through a full body workout and say, that's it? Can I do more? I don't feel like I've put in enough effort. Quite the opposite is true. Almost everybody I have after almost every single workout leaves feeling incredibly exhausted and not wanting to do any more sets. It's not uncommon to have people finish these workouts and go home and have to take a nap for a few hours afterwards. Exercise, when done correctly, is a massive stress on the body. And again, it's a stress that is imposed on the body for the desired effect of overcompensation. Bigger, stronger muscles, improved cardiovascular conditioning, improved body composition, improved metabolic conditioning. There's a lot of factors of functionability with respect to exercise. So how often should you exercise? Well, again, that depends on your goal. If you just want to be bigger, stronger, healthier, I like to start people on 1 full body workout once a week. If you want to work out more frequently, I wouldn't begrudge anybody for that. I certainly recognize that there are mental benefits to exercising more frequently. Then you can start looking at like a push-pull legs split, maybe like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But then if you're not getting the results that you think you should be getting and you're not making progress on a consistent basis, then you probably need to look into either introducing more rest or cutting back on the amount of volume that you're doing in that specific workout. My workouts are about 3 to 4 sets for the entire workout. If I go longer than that, I am so fatigued systemically that the rest of the day I just don't feel fully there mentally. And usually the next day or two after that workout, I feel sick. And to me, even if it was ideal doing a full body workout like that 1 day a week, I still want a certain quality of life. So for me, with my particular preferences, I like doing a push-pull leg split, and I do 1 workout every 4 to 5 days or so. And I continue to make progress on this particular routine, but a lot of that is individualized for my personal preferences, but also the amount of rest that I need on a workout to workout basis to continue making progress. Some of you guys may have seen my Instagram post recently. A lot of people question if that infrequent and that brief a workout is sufficient for significant real world strength and application. So for those who haven't seen the Instagram post, when I generally do an overhead press, Here in my studio, as part of my chest, shoulders, and triceps workout, I only do one set. I do one set of an overhead press. And the amount of weight that I use is 110 pounds loaded onto a plate loaded leverage machine. I don't know what the empty moment arm actually weighs. And I lift very, very slowly, very, very deliberately. But to show that there's real world application in training in that manner that carries over positively to real productive strength, I did an Instagram post and I'll also do a live video demonstrating it at some point, where I put 285 pounds of just plates on this empty moment arm. With the loaded arm, I suspect that it was probably about 300 pounds, maybe a little bit more, 300, 305. And I can do a single overhead press with my legs lifted off the ground, so I'm not driving through my feet, completely seated 300 pounds overhead. So if I can lift 300 pounds overhead for a single, I can certainly lift 200 pounds very, very quickly. There's certainly a large degree of explosive strength. If I can lift 300 pounds overhead, then my shoulders, my traps, my triceps are strong enough to perform whatever functions are necessary in my normal activities of daily life. You need to be very honest with yourself with respect to your training. What are your goals? If you're training for something specific, you have to train that specific movement. If you're just training for overall health and well-being, again, I would highly recommend training as intense as you safely can and not doing any other moderate to highly intense exercise for a number of days until you feel that you're fully rested, fully recovered. Certainly don't train on consecutive days. It's almost always a mistake. So barring any questions, I think I'm going to wrap this one up. I'm going to start doing more live videos like this, but again, to kind of enumerate the points, what are you training for? If it's specific movements, if you're learning how to throw something, if you're learning a skill, if you're trying to just swing a golf club better, practice those very low intensity movements every single day to the point where the benefits start falling off. Generally, if you're doing something like a golf swing, you'll kind of suck at it, you'll get better, you'll have a number of really, really good swings for a short while, and then it kind of starts falling off when your swings start getting bad. Once it starts tapering off, that's it. That's your skill conditioning for the day. Yeah, thanks for the comment, Kelly. If you're doing resistance training, certainly no more than every other day. Train as intense as you safely can, using movements that are concordant with muscle and joint function and design, and let your progress dictate when you should train again. If you're not getting the results that you think you should be getting, if you're not getting stronger on a workout to workout basis, more often than not, you need to introduce more rest, less volume, or some combination of both. And as far as how to actually go about those specifics, that's a large part of what I do here in the studio. That's a large part of what I do with phone consultations with people. So everybody, thanks for watching. Hope you have a beautiful day, and I will talk to you guys soon.